Hi everybody, today we're going to look at how to write an introduction for a GCSE essay focusing on an inspector calls. So the first thing is, what is an introduction? Well, an introduction sets up the question and it's an opportunity for us to conceptualize. Let's take that second one first because that's the one where you're going to be thinking, I'm not quite sure what that is. So conceptualizing is really about looking at the big ideas in a text. When writers create their novels or their plays or their poetry, they're doing this to create a beautiful piece of art, also to communicate particular ideas about the society that we live in and how we can make this better. So some useful sentences for talking about these big ideas are Priestley teaches us that, Priestley warns us about, and Priestley criticizes. Okay, so that's fair enough. But what does he actually teach us and warn us about, and what does he actually criticize? Well, the whole play centers around the dangers of capitalism. So we could say that Priestley warns us about the dangers of capitalism, or Priestley teaches us that capitalism is dangerous. That would be even better if you use the word because to extend your sentence. So Priestley teaches us that capitalism is dangerous because it leads to the suffering of the working classes. We've also got the idea of capitalist greed and callousness throughout the play. So here we could say Priestley criticizes capitalist greed and callousness. We also learn about the marginalization of women in a patriarchal society. Marginalization means when a particular group of people are pushed to the side because they're thought of as being unimportant. And we see that in the play. The women are objectified, they're exploited, they're assaulted, they're told to be quiet, they're told to go to a different room. All the way through the play, we see examples of where women are put in the margins, they're ignored, they're overshadowed by the men. We also have a bit of a more positive idea at the end of the play, though, that there is a hope for a fairer and more equal society in the future. So we could say that Priestley teaches us that there is hope for a fairer, more equal society in the future. Okay, so that's your conceptualizing sentence. Let's take our example. How does Priestley present Sheila as a changing character? We need to set up the question and then we need to conceptualize, and that's how we write our introduction. Setting up the question then, so within his microcosm of Edwardian England, Priestley presents Sheila as a changing character because she metamorphoses from materialistic and myopic to compassionate. So I've used the words from the question, you can see that there. Priestley presents Sheila as a changing character. Then I've got the word because so that I can explain my ideas. And I haven't gone into a huge amount of depth here. I don't need quotations. I don't need analysis at this point, but I need some kind of overview of Sheila across the play. So she changes or metamorphoses from materialistic and myopic to compassionate, from being obsessed with the ring and blind to the realities of the real world to being kinder and more aware of what people are going through at the end of the play. Right, now we need to conceptualize. So if we look at it now, within its microcosm of Edwardian England, Priestley presents Sheila as a changing character because she metamorphoses from materialistic and myopic to compassionate. In doing so, Priestley teaches the audience that there is a hope for a fairer and more equal society in the future. Now, if you're the kind of person who likes having sentence stems and you kind of like knowing what's going to go on and what you can use in your own writing, I've highlighted them here. So within his microcosm of Edwardian England, Priestley presents. Okay, you could start any essay on Priestley with that phrase. Then I've got because, that's really important to extend our answers and help us to explain our ideas. And then the phrase, in doing so, Priestley teaches the audience. So those could be sentence starters that you learn and that you use for your introductions for any essay on In the Spectacles. Having said that, though, it's always nice to be a bit more creative, to have a bit more variety in our writing. So I'm going to show you some alternatives then. And again, I've highlighted the sentence starters here. So if you see one that you like here, you can see the sentence starters so that you can use this in your own work. So, version 1. In his portrayal of Edwardian England, Priestley illustrates Sheila's evolution as a character, shifting from a narrow-minded and superficial individual to one who embodies empathy and understanding. Through this transformation, Priestley conveys a message of optimism, suggesting that a more just and equal society is within reach. So you can see the difference in the sentence starters there. Version 2 then. In his bitter diatribe against capitalism, Priestley crafts Sheila as a character who undergoes significant growth, transitioning from materialism and ignorance to a more compassionate and self-aware individual. This change highlights Priestley's belief in the possibility of a more equal future, offering hope for social reform. Okay, so just another version of the same thing. And version 3, Priestley explores Sheila's character development, showing her transformation from a shallow, self-centered young woman to one driven by compassion and social consciousness. In doing so, Priestley encourages the audience to believe that change is possible and that a fairer, more equal society may lie ahead. So each introduction is saying the same thing, but the phrasing is slightly different. So you find a way of doing this that kind of suits your writing style, but you can use these suggestions if that's helpful for you. Now it's time for your independent practice then. So you've got 3 questions on the screen there, 3 different characters. And all I want you to do is use the examples that I've given you, use the sentence starters that I've given you to practice writing an introduction for each of those questions. Okay, thank you very much. And check out the rest of the videos on this playlist where I go through how to write the rest of the essay.